does have benefits and does have a lot of benefits, that this is why actually we started using the social media. So now we touched many of these benefits with talking about the power of connectivity. So this is what touched us from the beginning again, which is connecting with everyone and receiving support. Now this is something that we all look for, social media, that we can provide or receive support through social media. We do understand this. A lot of people share what they're going through, and you can send griefs and sorrows or sympathy to your friends and families that you cannot be there for them. You send it through social media. So we do understand the power of that. And we were saying about how the relationship got into social media, that this is what drove us to the social media thing, that we have to connect and network and get to the families and friends. So clearly social media do have many benefits, and we already touched, and many of them are like connectivity and sharing positive stories. Also, we get our positivity sometimes through social media. Some people share their positive stories, maybe healthy cooking, healthy lifestyle. So we do have, and we know all these benefits that we all see through, and this is why we use social media. So social media has clear benefits, but we need to also be aware of the risks involved as we consider how to help our kids use social media safely and responsibly. So, what did social media do to people? And this is the question that we all want to know. What did social media do to people? So social media has changed the way people interact. In many ways, social media has led to positive changes in the way people communicate and share information. However, it has a dark side as well. Social networking can sometimes result in negative outcomes, some with long-term consequences. And this is what we're going to touch base tonight, is learning these risks and how to minimize these risks, because we're going to talk about many risks that going on, and that's going to scare us. But then in the end, after that, we need to know how can we protect our kids and how can we minimize these risks. So some of the risks of social media. Meeting face-to-face is becoming more and more rare in the world where internet devices are constantly on, as individuals prefer to meet screen to screen. And we saw that impact again during COVID. So, and it continued. So people saw it's easier and more convenient to use the screen than meeting face-to-face. So what impact does this new dynamic have on everyday social interaction? How do these technologies and social media platforms like Facebook impact our ability to socialize and communicate with one another? But more importantly, what effect do these social networks have on the mental health of our kids and us also? So many might argue that some of these unfavorable outcomes are not directly related to social media or social network. However, social media has elevated the risk of these behaviors. And we'll concentrate on a few of these negative aspects to highlight how social media affects our lives, often without us even knowing. And this is what we need to understand. Now, again, talking about all the risks, that it increased risk of sleep disorder, increased of obesity, mental health effects, which is the main reason why we're having this conversation tonight, possibly the addiction disorder, and cyberbullying, false connection, and unfortunately as well, suicide has a lot of connections to social media. So we're going to be exploring in a bit the possibility of addiction. So what is the part of the addiction? So we have here a doctor from Stanford talking about how the social media addiction and the brain works together.
So I look at my phone and I see somebody tag me on a photo. What happens? I get a burst of dopamine in the reward path. So I look at my phone. So I look at my phone and I see somebody. So I look at my phone and I see somebody tag me on a photo. What happens? I get a little burst of dopamine in the reward pathway in my brain. That's where pleasure comes from, right? Where like that's where I experience like that little zing, like ooh, cool, and it feels really good. After that's happened, I don't know, 10, 20, 50, 100 times, it's not as exciting as it was the first time. That's the brain changing in response to that pleasurable experience. Things that are pleasurable don't stay pleasurable with a lot of repetition. That's neuroadaptation. With heavy exposure or use of any highly dopaminergic drug, I need more and more to get the same effect. Over time, I experience less pleasure when I'm not using that drug. So you're in a dopamine deficit state. So what does that mean? That means you are more unhappy than your baseline. So the next time, or maybe the 20th time, or maybe it took me 100 times, people are different. I get my photo tagged, I'm like, and that comes because not as much dopamine was released, right? Now I need something more exciting, something more potent in order to get more dopamine release so that I register some kind of pleasure. And so I think this is really a key point, that we've got these sort of reward thresholds that get altered by consuming highly rewarding, highly pleasurable drugs.
So now we will talk about the effects that social media have on the behavioral effects, which is peer influence, and we're going to touch base as well of the physical effects that social media has on us. So the first thing we are going to touch base is with behavioral effects and peer influence. So viral social media challenges typically involve users recording themselves performing unusual dynamics or dramatics, funny or risky actions, and sharing this content with others who can then perform the act themselves. So this is what is viral social media challenges, and I'm sure many of you heard of it. So what it is, again, that they challenge themselves recording, doing some dramatic or funny or risky actions, and then post it and challenge others to do the same and post it, and it goes on. So thereby accepting and completing and continuing to share. And Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Snapchat are just few of these platforms or apps that are popular for social media challenges. Many challenges can be harmless and enjoyable and funny, but some promote risk-taking and can have dangerous results, which end up with death or really serious long-term problems or injuries. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of these challenges, and during our talk about these challenges, we are going to say, and we're all going to think, why are they doing this? These are just crazy things. How can they do it? The video that we saw before explains how and why they do these actions or challenges. So I'm not sure if you heard about them, but the Tide Pod Challenge, they challenge people, involves people by popping the small laundry detergent Tide in their mouth, and trying to gag with these gag and like vomit or do all these actions and just record themselves and post it. So it is dangerous. A lot of people got into a lot of risky injuries through it because they can it cause allergies. These are chemicals, so many other, and you can imagine all the other consequences. Also, the Benadryl challenge. I'm not sure if you heard about it. What it happens is that they challenge each other to drink many tablets of Benadryl and then put a recording or a video to record themselves hallucinating. And once they wake up, they post themselves hallucinating. So this is a very also dangerous challenge. The salt and ice challenge. You might think, what is salt and ice challenge is going to do? Well, what they do is that they put ice, and they put salt, and then they put ice on top of it and press on it and see how long they can take the pain. And for many who don't know that, that will cause burning. What it happens is actually it causes burns that will go to second and third degree burning just from putting salt and ice. And that went viral. So many people started putting it and showing how long they were able to take and how deep they got burned, and they just posted and keep posting the challenge. The other thing is the fire challenge, where it involves people recording themselves pouring a flammable liquid on themselves and putting themselves in fire and just going away from it. Not all of them can make it. And you can imagine the risk factors in this, or how risky this is. As well, we have the cinnamon challenge, which I'm not sure if you also heard about it. What they do is that they challenge, they carry a lot of, they put a big coat of cinnamon in their mouth and try to hold it and show themselves how they may choke or how their face will change and all these reactions. And cinnamon has really bad effect if you put it in your mouth by itself. It's very dry. It causes coughing, gagging, vomiting, irritation, and it can actually, if it goes to the lungs, it will cause pneumonia and a lot of lung damages. So this is another challenge. Now we have also the boiling water challenge, where one dares their friend like they're going to pour boiling water on them without them knowing, and see how they would react, and they record the whole thing. So as you see, these are and these are challenges. If you go online and watch these challenges that they were made, and a lot of incidents were reported, and many kids got long-term injuries and many deaths actually because of these crazy challenges that we always think, oh my God, why is this happening? But again, this is what actually explains it is what we just saw in the video before, where the addiction, where they want to see these likes, they want to feel this pleasure of getting these videos and reposting and views and all that about these challenges that they're doing. And I'm going to show you real photos of actual people, the victims of these challenges. That first picture up there is actually those kids trying to gag with the Tide pods, putting it in their mouth and choking from it. The second picture is actually a guy that was trying to put themselves in fire, and this is how they ended up. The third one is a challenge that I forgot to mention, the duct tape challenge, where they wrap themselves with duct tape and they have to break themselves out of it and see how long it takes. That third picture is actually the picture of a victim of this challenge, where the duct tape did all this damage to them and ended up in the hospital. That third one with that cross on their back, that's the salt and ice challenge. This is how they get burnt from it. This is how bad it is. And the last one is the back cracking. I'm not sure if also you heard about it, where they challenge themselves cracking their backs. It might feel, it feels good, but again, you don't know that a small move, how can it actually put that person in danger forever. So these are a few of the challenges. and few of the effects that we spoke about that are behavioral effects and peer influence that social media has on our kids. Now, we're going to be talking about the physical effects. So, there are several potential links between using social media and developing mental health issues in young people. But recent research points to the importance of social media's effects on sleep patterns. This research found that the more time adolescents spend on the screen-based activities like social media, games, movies, watching TV, all these screen time, the more trouble they had falling asleep and the less sleep they get during the night. These sleep issues were then linked into, with increased symptoms of insomnia and depression. And this is a research that was done by a trusted source, which is the National Library of Medicine, where they actually did this research and found the connection between the use of social media and sleep disorders. Also cyber, now another thing, these are also the other physical effects, which is diabetes, stroke, high blood pressure, heart disease, obesity, poor mental health, and early death. These are the things that the National Library of Medicine research that these are linked to social media. Because of the long use of the screen, staying on the screen, that causes all these disorders. Now, the other thing that we're going to talk about, which I mentioned in the beginning, is cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is a far too prevalent concern relating to social media use that has a significant impact on our youth's social and emotional well-being. And maybe this is one of the most important topic that has been affecting our children and kids and adolescents. So in 2018, the research study found that 59% of teens in America have dealt with some form of cyberbullying. So that's in 2018. Imagine now. Cyberbullying has become a very, very hot topic and dangerous issue that is concerning our kids. So cyberbullying includes what it is. A lot of me ask, what is cyberbullying? So cyberbullying includes sending, posting, or sharing negative, harmful, false, or mean content about someone else. So we all know about bullying at school, but this is exactly the same way, but it's cyberbullying, where it's more people can see it, more people are witnessing this type of bullying. So it can also include sharing personal or private information about someone else, causing embarrassment and humiliation. Some cyberbullying crosses the line into unlawful or criminal behavior, and this is why it's a very important topic. So cyberbullying has a unique concern in that it can be. So why is it unique? Why cyberbullying is unique and it's really important and it's touching a lot of our kids? Because it's persistent. And what does that mean? It means that digital devices offer an ability to immediately and continuously communicate 24 hours a day. We always know technology is always, and social media is always there 24 hours a day. So it can be difficult for children experience cyberbullying to find relief. They cannot find relief. Like when they're bullied at school, they go home and it's done. But when they're cyberbullied, they cannot find the relief. It's persistent. It's always there. The other thing, the unique thing about cyberbullying is that it's permanent, because most information communicated electronically is permanent and public, if not reported and removed. So if you don't report it to that platform and ask to remove it, it stays permanent, because you don't have the ability to remove this post or sharing that they put there. The only person who has the power to remove it is the person who posted it. So this is another unique thing about why it's so hard or so dangerous. Another thing, it's very hard to notice because teachers and parents don't see it and they don't witness it. So so cyberbullying takes place in social media, and if you're not involved in your kids' social media, you're not going to notice it, as well as parents. So that's why it's a very, very dangerous topic or dangerous thing going on with our kids. So not surprisingly, cyberbullying has far-reaching damaging effects, including emotional, mental, behavioral, and physical effects. So we can understand, talking about all these types of bullying being all viral and on social media, how it affects us emotionally and mentally. So as caregivers, we can look out for warning signs. So we need to know if our kids are going through, again, I mentioned that it's hard to notice, but if we're not involved in their platforms and we're not involved in their social media, how do we know that they might be going through cyberbullying? And so there are some warning signs that we need to look for. So one of them is that noticeable increases or decreases in device use. So if you know that your son or your daughter usually uses their social media or uses their device at a certain time, you may see a decrease in that. Or if they're not usually on their phones and all of a sudden you see an increased use, that's something that you need to look at what's going on with them. Showing emotional responses to what's happening on the device. So that's why we have to always look at our kids when they're on their devices. Because if they have something going on, while they're looking on their device, you can see they're reading a message or they're reading a post, you'll see the reaction on their face. Their reaction will show directly on their face if there is something wrong. So this is something that we need to look into. Hiding their screens or devices when you're trying to get there or near them. It might be they're not going, navigating something bad or going through something bad. It might be because they don't want you to know that they have been bullied online. So this is something that you need to watch. If they're doing this action, you need to follow up and find out why this is happening. Also, avoiding social situations. If all of a sudden your child is avoiding to go out, going with friends or being with the family, this is something that you need to question. It can be also other mental health challenges, but one of them could be cyberbullying because they don't want to be seen by others who saw these posts or these sharings that they shared. So if you think your child is involved in cyberbullying, ask questions. So if you saw any of these signs, ask questions and learn about what's happening. Keep a record and take screenshots of harmful content. So you have to always be aware of what's going on with your kids, whether it's on social media, on texting. Also, we have to understand that cyberbullying can be through texting as well. So it's not only through social media platforms, it can be through group texting. So this is something that we need to also pay attention to. So another issue of recent discussions about social media, it's its emotional impact of created self-portrayed. Okay, so I'm going to go to the other slide. This is some of the other effects of cyberbullying, which I talked emotional, behavioral, mental, and physical effects of the cyberbullying. So the other topic that we're going to touch points on is the Insta lie. I'm not sure if you heard about this, but another issue is around social media is the emotional impact of created self-portrayals on visual platforms such as Instagram and Snapchat. What does that mean? It means that people choose to share certain pictures or share certain stories and situation and craft. It's not real pictures or real situation. They craft these pictures, edit them, and put them to show that they are a very nice or happy moments for that. So they handpick what they want to post, but it's not the reality. So this is what's called the Insta lie. So we have a video clip to help bring home the impact of this divide between reality and social media. And this will explain more about how people do not show the whole story and that there's a lot behind what they post. So as we see here, this is what affects our kids when they are looking at the part of the picture. And it might not only affect our children, it might affect us as an adults. And this is a problem, a big problem, because what we're looking at crafted pictures. We're looking at not reality. It's these lives, you're comparing these crafted lives to your own reality. And this is what's happening with our kids. They're comparing it to their lives and what they're going through. And that would lead to anxiety and self-esteem challenges. So this is one of the biggest issue about Insta-Lie, that people think that whatever they see is actually what's happening. And you're not seeing the full story. You're not seeing the whole picture of what's actually going on in their life. So these curated portraits on social media have damaging impacts on self-esteem. And these mostly people who watch or see this, after that, it was reported that they decreased their satisfaction about their own self. They see others putting all these posts, and then they look at themselves. They're not happy or satisfied of themselves anymore. And then they will tie the person's personality or the person's self-esteem of how many likes they got or how many views they got from their post. And that would become the thing how you actually put the feedback or a person's self-worth. Everybody would say, oh, this person is worth a lot because of the likes that they're getting or how many people viewed their post. And unfortunately, as we see, many of them are not the true story of it. So now, the question that we heard about all these risks, and we spoke, and we touched just a little bit, like a small part of the risks that may be associated with social media that us and our kids are going through or may go through. So, of course, talking about it will take much long because there are many other risks and dangers that associated to social media. So the question here, we heard all that. How do we minimize the risks, and how can we protect our kids? So our children are from a generation, and this is something that we need to know, that our children are from a generation that they do not know how life was without internet. If you tell them how we used to live without internet, they will be all surprised. They do not know how life is without internet. It's the same way how when we think about our ancestors, how did they live without cars or how did they live without phones? And this is how it is right now. It became something essential, something important, and part of their life. And because also our kids get access to devices and technology in way early ages, and this is a big issue. So how do we minimize these risks? Do we take these technologies and devices away from them? Or do we tell them you're not allowed to use these platforms? We cannot do that, right? Because everything right now goes on through social media and technology, schools, networking, webinars, everything is through technology. So what can we do? The most important thing, the first thing that we need to do is to keep an open dialogue with our kids, communicate with them. Let them know the risks of social media and let them know that we do understand that there are risks associated with social media. We have to talk to them and let them know that we understand that they may go through some danger and that it's okay for them to come and talk to us about it, that we are there to help them and understand them, not judge them and criticize them. Because if they don't feel that we understand that this world is dangerous, or the world of technology is dangerous, if they think that we don't know that, they're not going to come to you and talk to you about it. So we need to have this conversation and open dialogue at an early age with our kids and let them know that we do understand these risks. The other thing is educate our kids about the threats and about the risks of social media and internet, such as like phishing and viruses, people presenting themselves as someone else online and being, not them and being danger, predators. We need to educate them that this goes on. Like if you have a child at an early age and started using these, you need to make sure that you educate them about how this world is full of these type of dangers. So some people say, oh no, we don't want to talk to them about it because then they will learn about it. No, they need to learn about it in order for them to be safe and protect themselves and come to you and talk to you about what's going on with them. Also, we need to follow the age requirements. Age requirements need to make sure under 13, no social media platform on their own. So if they have a social media platform and if they are using it, you have to make sure that you're on it. You have their account. You're with them, not because you want to invade their privacy. They need to understand that we're doing this for their protection. Because our kids that are under 13 or even up to 15, they still may be in danger. They do not know how things may go and how dangerous it is. Unfortunately, they think that, oh, they're old enough, they're teenagers, they know better, we don't understand. But no, we need to make sure that we follow this, we know their accounts, we have their passwords, again, and we need them to understand, not because we are trying to invade their privacy and know everything, it's just this is for their own protection. Also, we need to set, another thing that to minimize the risk is to set ground rules. Be clear about what your kids can post. Let them know what they can post and they cannot post, and who they can follow and cannot follow. Talk to them about it and try to always find out what are they doing on social media and who are they following, who are they watching. I know this is, this may be a lot, but in order to save them, we need and protect them, we need to have this conversation and we need to make sure that we constantly talk to them about it. Not one time and that's it. We need to always talk to them about it and set these rules and remind them of the rules of that. Also, just while setting these rules, we have to take into account their social life or their friends. So let's say you have a child and you say, okay, I'm setting a 2-hour limit for them. And this 2 hours is only every day from 4 to 6. But from 4 to 6, your child's friends that you approved for them to play with or to socialize with, they're doing something else or they have activities. So your child won't be able to actually play with the friends that you authorized them to play with. So you need to work with your children to set these rules and times, not to put these rules just like that. Need to have like a share decision with the children and have them understand that we're taking their opinion at a young age regarding the times and the settings and the rules. The other thing is the privacy. Set up up-to-date privacy, and this is what we're going to talk about. I'm going to come through the privacy and how we can be able to control the privacy and the settings, parental control and all that, and help you guide you through the process. Also products, we should consider some products that help you monitor online activity. I'm gonna also take you through these type of products and how can you navigate it and get it. So now teaching our kids about online safety, again, we need to communicate. It's repeating itself. We need to communicate with care. Keep private things private. Another thing that I'm sure we all know and we teach our kids, but again, we need to constantly repeat. No private information or personal information should be shared on social media whatsoever. Their address, their phone number, their private information shouldn't be shared, and we have to constantly repeat this and talk to them about it. You have to make sure to let them respect others and avoid drama. We need to let them know how, we were talking about cyber bullying, so we need them to understand that they need to think about what they're posting before they post. And if they see a post that is harming others, that they have to take a step and do something for them and help them and not stay like that. Also, teach them not to lie or cheat or put things which means like, copying from others and putting as its own codes. These are like, simple things that we teach them, but these are really important things to teach them about at an early age. Also, there are some technical supports that you can utilize to help keep your kids safe online. And that's what we're going to be talking about, and I'm sure many of you would want to go through that. So most platforms and all social media sites have privacy and parental control setting that you can review and customize. So each platform or each app that your kids are using, you can go and check their settings and privacy and parental control. Each one has it. So these are like a sample of screenshots from the Amazon Safety. Each part of Amazon Prime Videos, the Fire tablets, the Kindle tablets, each one of them has its own privacy and settings. And again, YouTube is not letting anybody stay away from, learning things. You can just, if you know that there's a platform that your child is using and you want to try to set up the parental control or the privacy, go on YouTube, put the brand and the type of device that you have and the app that you need to navigate for the privacy and setting, and just learn. It's all about our efforts to actually go and do these steps and actually work with our kids for that. It's a lot, and I know it's a lot, but we need to do this for their sake. We also have there's the Google Family Link is another great tool. This comes in the form of a free app with an easy-to-use interface. You can add your family's various devices to your account for monitoring, and you can use the app to set limits on these devices, to set screen time limits, and even to track locations. So if you want, you can scan the QR code here, and it takes you to the app, and it tells you the process, how to do it, and the steps of how to go through the privacy and the settings of this, and how to set up the family, privacy and connection with that. Also, if you want to learn more and read about how you can protect and how you can go through the devices, you can scan this QR code. It takes you to this page where you can click on each link and read more about how to navigate the privacy and the parental control and the social media responsibility, all these topics that teach you more about the social media platforms and the safety in it. Also, we have the Microsoft Family Safety. So we have many ways and tools to actually be able to help the safety of our kids with social media and monitor their work and be able to set the settings and privacy. So these are few of the tools that I'm giving you here to be able to set these and learn more about it. So we have the Microsoft Family Safety it's very helpful to set for the family. There's a version that is free, and there's a version that you have a monthly cost on it. Also, this website is a very helpful site that is called the Common Sense, Media Common Sense. If you go in it, it has everything about social media, about how to help your kids, how to protect their privacy, how to let them navigate the social media safely and responsibly. Also, through that website, there's a lot of articles, and even if you want to check, let's say, a game or an app or a movie, if it's appropriate for your child or not, you can go there, and there's a way there where you can check everything before you let your child watch this movie or play this game. It's a very great resource. These are also more resources. Again, it's all about educating ourselves of how to take that step and put this time and effort with our children. So this is all about the tools and tips for the social media. I know there's a lot others, and there's many other tools. And like I said, talking about social media and its effect on our kids and on ourselves, it's a lot, and we cannot, it's going to take so long to talk about. There's one thing that I didn't touch base during my conversation, which I really wanted to talk about. It's one of, going back to the physical effect. There is one research that was done, and it's a very interesting research that was done on two research, one on mice and one on pre-K school, preschoolers. What they did is that they wanted to see the effect of screen time and social media on the brain development and development in the brain. So what they did is they got baby mice, and they put in front of them like a screen that has a repetitive light and sounds like, that mimics social media and mimics the screens. And they put the adult mice in a different place where they put the same effects with them. And then they started checking the development of their brain. So they found that the baby mice, when they were in front of that, the cell part in their brain that is responsible for learning and memory was decreasing, and it wasn't developing the right way. Whereas the adult mice, nothing happened to them because their brain is already developed. So this is one of the things that we have regarding if our kids say, if you try to tell them to limit the screen time and they say, but you're always on the computer, you're always working and you're always on your screen, so why you're telling us to do this? So this is one of the things that you need to tell them, that while their brain is developing, they're still in the development stage, that will affect the cell, the brain cells that is responsible for learning and memory. So this is the first research. The other research was done on preschoolers, where they got 60 preschoolers, and they divided them into 2 rooms, 30 in each room. One room with the 30 kids, they put a screen for 10 minutes that has repeated screens and lights and sounds like watching screens. So they let them sit and watch for 10 minutes. The other room, they had 30 kids where they had just coloring and crayons and coloring books. After 10 minutes, they gathered all the 60 kids again in a room, and they give them a cognitive test to see their ability. The 30 kids that were in front of the screen, all of them did very bad in this test, whereas the other 30 kids were they were varying according to their ability. So they had high performance, middle performance, and low performance, whereas the other one had very bad performance just from that 10 minutes staying on the screen. So that's one of the proofs of how the screen time affects our brain, our attention, our learning, and our memory. So the last thing, this is about social media. The last thing I have, this is the Bergen Resource Net. This is also, if you scan this QR code, this is a website that you can go. This is for Bergen County. There are many resources that you can try to find, webinars, resources, events, community services, anything that you want to look into regarding in Bergen County. You can go through this website and go through it and check it. And this is the end for social media. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm open for any questions regarding privacy, settings, or the effects of social media on mental health. Thank you.